Hello everyone and welcome to my channel and welcome to this video. Today I will show you how I inked this cute little fairy house, and this is actually a part of the series that I'm doing on my Patreon, Inktober series, where we are inking and painting different fairy houses, all as just Inktober prompts. So if you do like inking and watercolors, you might want to check it out. I'll put the link in the description box. So without the further ado, let's get to our inking. And I like to start with 03 ink pen. This is actually A4 size paper, so just a little bit larger paper, and I do like to use 03 ink pen to do the basic inking, or just go on top of the sketch that I already drew onto my watercolor paper. And that sketch, by the way, is also available for download for my Patreon members, or if you purchase that Inktober series, well, you will get those sketches included. And just going on top of the lines that I already drew, and I do like to sketch my drawings on a separate piece of paper and then trace it onto the watercolor paper, just to not have those smudges and maybe rip a paper from the eraser. I like to just draw it on a regular piece of paper and then use graphite paper to trace it onto my watercolor paper. On top of that sketch, doing the inking, just making the lines, drawing the lines that I do have on my sketch, and later on I will stylize it and do a little bit more of the details. That's just how I prefer to do it, and it helps me keep focused on to the basic drawing and just to block everything in. And when I do have the entire visual, I can just see where I want to add more details or where I want to stylize my drawing a little bit more, add some shadows, and just make some lines a little bit thicker in some parts, leaving them thinner in some parts, just overall stylizing my sketch in that sense. So still using 03 ink pen, and you can see straight away how with just a little bit of that ink, that drawing looks a lot better. And also just using the grain of my paper, I tilted my ink pen and I'm just scribbling on top of it, adding some shadows and some dirt onto the paper. Again, as I said, this is cold press watercolor paper, so it does have a slight tooth, and I like to use that texture of the paper to draw in details onto for my illustration. Again, same thing here. Adding some shadows, connecting the lines, and making some of the lines a little bit thicker with adding more ink, leaving some other a little bit thinner. And just don't be afraid to add that ink. It just brings everything together and creates overall very nice and finished look. For the foliage, I wanted to keep it quite simple. Again, just added a bit more ink to one side of the leaf and just a bit more to connect them to the main stem, and then adding some dots to make it a little bit more magical. This is, after all, a fairy house. Scribbling for the bushes and just adding some shadows to the mushrooms, and going back and forth onto my entire drawing and looking where I want to add more ink for the shadows and more details. And for that smaller and more detailed work, I'm using 01 ink pen. I will be adding watercolors on top, but that's going to be a part of the video on my Patreon. So I do not want to do all the details with the ink. I will just leave a bit of them for the watercolors. Adding some wood grains and a bit more of the shading details on the ground. And with that, I'm done. So those are the steps I like to go over when I'm doing my inking. Just the basic inking, a little bit of the details, stylizing on top, and then I do like to always add watercolors to finish everything off. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video and maybe just thought about doing some inking. This is Inktober, so why not? And if you do like it, please hit the like button, share it, and comment. If you haven't still, please do subscribe to my channel. I have many tutorials and I'm sure you will find something for yourself. And if you want to check out the Inktober series, well, I will leave the link in the description box. Again, thank you so much for watching. I hope I'll see you next time. Bye!